Macho Madness. I got a costume party to go to after this, just trying everything out. It's Halloween! If you've been watching my videos all this month, you should know how long I've been looking forward to this day. So before I go out and celebrate, I wanted to make one more video. And I couldn't think of a better way to end this series than by looking at my favorite horror movie of all time. John Carpenter's 1982 classic, The Thing.
Drain you of your sanity. Face the thing that should not be.
The movie centers on a group of scientists working in the Antarctic when their camp is invaded by an alien creature that can take on the form of anything it wants. It can mimic the appearance, sound, and movement of any living things perfectly, allowing it to blend into any environment it sees.
When this thing attacked our dogs, it tried to digest them, absorb them, and in the process shape its own cells to imitate them.
The scientists have to escape the camp with their lives, but more importantly, kill the creature before it can spread outside the camp and destroy everything in its path. There are not enough good things I could say about this movie, but I'll try and keep it as short as possible. It's without a doubt the best remake of all time. The original was very well acted and had a good idea behind it, but it was still really cheesy, like 50s cheesy. This movie, on the other hand, takes it up a notch by being incredibly tense, genuinely terrifying in some instances, and giving us some of the greatest special effects in movie history. Oh, hi, doggy. So starting off, there's two things that make this premise incredibly scary. First of all, it's an alien that can take over human form and blend into the background in literally any scene in the movie. Anytime you're watching the movie, the alien could be on screen hiding in plain sight. The other one is that the movie takes place in a frozen wasteland. There's no escape, no help for thousands of miles away, and limited resources. All the characters have to survive is a few flamethrowers and each other, but they can't completely trust the people they're with because any one of them could be the alien in disguise. It makes the entire film into a guessing game until the alien is revealed, and when it does, it is gorgeous. The effects are the most impressive I've ever seen in an 80s horror movie, maybe in any movie ever. All the monsters are memorable, they're creative, they're disgusting, and it's all done without CGI, all practical effects. Pretty much all the visuals were done by Rob Bottin and Stan Winston. They're legendary effects workers who also did the movies like RoboCop and the Terminator series. And I can't believe that the only thing that these people were nominated for with these monstrosities was a Saturn Award for Best Effects, which lost to E.T. And no, I'm not being biased when I think they were robbed for the award. E.T. looks exactly the same all the way through, with the exception of getting a little paler or taller in some instances. But the monster in The Thing is always changing appearance, taking on new and exciting forms, which makes it hard to guess what it's going to look like in the next frame of the movie. I don't remember who said it first. I think it was either Sam Raimi or George A. Romero, but one of the major horror filmmakers said that one of the keys to making a monster movie is to keep the monster in the dark as much as possible, because no matter what it looks like on screen, it can't compare to your own imagination. No. This is beyond anything I could think of in 1,000 drug-fueled nights. Take this scene for instance, just this one scene in the movie. A man gets his hand chopped off trying to defibrillate someone. The alien's head detaches to escape capture, it sets itself right side up with its tongue, sprouts spider legs and an antenna, and tries to crawl away from everyone.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Somebody thought that up. And another person looked at some plastic mold and fake blood and said, yeah, no problem.
Checkmate.
Cheeky bitch. The cast does a pretty good job too, mostly because Kurt Russell is the man in pretty much everything he's ever done. And Keith David's voice is so iconic and powerful that every scene he's in grabs your attention.
And Clark was human, huh? Which makes you a murderer, don't it?
All the situations where the monster isn't on screen, there's still that feeling of distrust and fear. Every character is suspicious of all the others because it's plausible that any one of them could be a killer alien in reality. It could have been so easy to ruin the concept by giving wooden, basic performances, but they get the job done here.
If you're worried about me,
If we've got any surprises for each other, I don't think we're in much shape to do anything about it.
And I've always liked movies like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Stepford Wives, things like that, which deal with people being indoctrinated into an alien or robotic society one by one. And this has a lot of that who's still human aspect, and it's done very well, especially in the scene where they're all strapped to chairs. They know that one of the people in the room is infected. They know that it's sensitive to heat, so they have to have everyone give a blood sample and poke at each one with a hot iron.
Now I'll show you what I already know.
It's a crock of shit.
It's so tense and it has such a great payoff that I could not believe it the first time I saw it.
You were the only one that could have got to that blood. We'll do you last.
If I'm being realistic, the movie is not perfect. There are some characters that aren't completely fleshed out, like Roller Skates here. I know he's got a name and a backstory, but literally the only thing I remember from him is that he's always on roller skates. And there's a few situations where the crew's solution of, screw it, just burn it, doesn't work, but they keep it in anyway. And I'm not the only person who thinks the score was a little underwhelming, even though it was written by Ennio Morricone. It got nominated for a Razzie, for God's sake. The guy who did the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly theme song got nominated for Worst Score. And while we're talking about underwhelming, I know that there was a prequel that came out in 2011. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but I'm pretty sure that even though I haven't seen the whole thing in its entirety, it's not unfair to say that it's not as good as the first. I did enjoy the idea that the alien couldn't replicate anything metal, so they looked in everybody's mouth and anyone who had a missing filling was a suspect. That was a really good idea, but I thought everything else I saw was just okay at best. But The Thing from '82, I love this movie. The setup, the acting, the effects, the payoff, the everything. This exceeded my expectations on how a horror movie could look, sound, and make me feel. And that's saying a lot how many horror flicks I've seen over the years. Everything in this movie is still just as impressive as it was when it came out 32 years ago. So seriously, see this movie if you haven't already, and get ready to be blown away by everything on screen. I want to thank you guys for watching all my horror movie reviews this month, and now that these are finished, I'll be getting back to the metal album overviews. So subscribe to my channel, check out all my other videos, and have a happy Halloween.
It's Halloween tonight.
And yes, in case you're wondering, I've already started a list for next year.